We would like to invite you to join us on the Sabbath Day Live via the internet. Log on to our website, which is www.theisraelofgod.com. Click on the link Sabbath Day Live on our homepage. You will need Windows Media Player to view our program. We stream live twice every Sabbath at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Central Time. If you enjoy our program, we would appreciate your donations to help defer the cost of continuing this work. Send donations to the Israel of God, 2515 East 75th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60649. Also, if you're in the Chicago area, please feel free to join us at our study class located at 2515 East 75th Street here in Chicago.
I've been looking, searching, trying to find the right way to walk. Stay beside me, guide me, try me. I wanna walk in your light. I've been looking, searching, trying to find the right way to walk. The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? Of the wicked, even my enemy. Of the things trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand. Show me the way, Lord. I will be faithful. For I am desolate and afflicted, Lord, show me the way.
To the people that are watching us live on the internet, good afternoon. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. We're going to get right to this lesson, sisters and brothers. You know, this is an argument I have all the time with my Hebrew brothers. And that is that the thing that happened to us is between us and God, and we have no room to hold anything against any other people. Because if the Lord called it, somebody's got to do it. And had we not been guilty, then nothing would have been done to us. We're going to examine this, sisters and brothers. In fact, the title of this lesson is The Destruction and Restoration of Israel. The Destruction and Restoration of Israel. You know, I get in a lot of conversation. And sometimes brothers come by and want to raise issues, and some call me on the phone because I'm the preacher that talks to everybody. You know, you can't talk to every preacher. But I talk to everybody because if you have an issue, bring it, let's hash it out. And if you can show me where I'm wrong, I will change. However, I expect you to do the same thing with me. And one of the things, sisters and brothers, and one of the things that the biggest argument is that we have been mistreated, we have been done this, and we have been wrong, and I agree with every syllable that come out your mouth when you say that. However, for every action, there's a reason. So sometimes we need to look at the reason, and then we will understand the action, and maybe we can do a little better and things will get a little better. But we don't want to do that. It's too easy to point the finger. But when you point the finger, you got 3 at you and 1 at God. Think about what I'm saying. Now we're going to look at the reason. When the Lord, let's go into Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. This, sisters and brothers, that the Lord dealt with Israel before we even got to the promised land the first time. And what happened is, when he brought Israel out of Egypt, he took them out and he laid some conditions down. And if the Lord laid some conditions down, if you uphold your part, He going to uphold his. Mm-hmm. If you fail to uphold your part, he going to still uphold his. But his is, I'm going to do something to you. That's why I tell people all the time, you know, when you offend God, he just don't fire you. He beat you up while you're being fired. Now, this is what happened when he brought Israel. That's why I tell my brothers, do you read the 28th chapter? You go there in the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy to find out that this is talking about us, but you don't want to accept none of the rest of it. If you're going to start cherry picking the Bible, sisters and brothers, then you may as well fold the book up. And I'm talking from Genesis to Revelation. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day,
go ahead,
that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Now, he told you that. He said, if you keep my commandments, which I command you this day, that the Lord is going to set you on high above all the nations. You get a lot of spiritual people that, well, that don't make no difference. It makes big difference whether you're the boss or you're the one that's being bossed.
Every time.
Great big difference. Whether you're the check writer or the one that's having the check written to you. So he said, I'll set you on high above every nation if you keep my laws and commandments which I command you this day. Go ahead and read.
And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
That's a big thing. Not only are they going to come on you, they're going to overtake you. You couldn't even run away from these blessings if you just listen to me. Go ahead and read.
Blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field.
Go ahead.
Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body.
Go ahead.
And the fruit of thy ground. And the fruit of thy cattle.
Go ahead.
The increase of thy kind. And the flocks of thy sheep.
Look, he's telling you you're going to be blessed wherever you find yourself. In the city, in the field, your children going to be blessed. If you raising livestock or whatever you're doing, that's going to be blessed. Skip down to verse 10 and go ahead.
And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord.
And all the people of the earth going to see that thou art called by the name of the Lord. What name is that? That's Israel, sisters and brothers. We're going to show you that's the Lord's name. Our father's name is Jacob. But the Lord adopted Israel, and just like when you adopt anybody else, you give them your name. That's why nobody ever paid attention that all of the prophets and all the apostles don't have a last name. Isaiah is Isaiah, Jeremiah is Jeremiah, Peter is Peter, Paul is Paul. What is their last name? Israel. And during the 1,000-year millennium period, sisters and brothers, the Lord is going to adopt all of the sons of Adam. Some he can adopt now, some just not of the physical stock of Israel. If you do what thus said the Lord, then you become spiritual Israel. But this is what people understand. This is what I keep trying to tell my brothers. This is not about us. It's about what God's intentions are. So he said, look, all the people of the earth will see that thou art called by my name. Go ahead and read.
And they shall be afraid of thee.
And they shall be afraid of thee. The Lord's letting you know why. Because it's the name that they fear, not you. Skip down to verse 12. Verse 12 and go ahead.
The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season.
Go ahead.
And to bless all the work of thine hands. And thou shalt lend unto many nations. And thou shalt not borrow.
And he's going to bless all the work of your hand. And you're the one's going to be the financiers. You're going to loan to many nations, but you ain't going to have to borrow from nobody. That sure don't fit us. It's all that simple. He said, but if you do all that I say, go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt be above only.
Big statement, ain't it? Above only? I can't even imagine that. We have a problem being above our children nowadays. They talk crazy to us. So, but you shall be above only. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt not be beneath.
Go ahead.
If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them.
Now, he said, if you listen to my commandments, which I command these this day. The Lord is letting you know, no matter what time in history you run into him, still the commandments that you have to keep is the one that he gave you in the days of Moses then. People tell you, we ain't under the law no more. You don't have to keep that old commandment. If that's the case, then I can come to your house and sleep with your wife, and I'm straight. I can steal your money. I can lie on you. I can kill you, and I am innocent. Because there ain't no law. I just show you how ignorant people are.
Yes.
What he gave you that day was good for every day. He said, but if you do that, but then if you don't do it, he dropped the other shoe on you. Let's look at this other shoe. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15 and go ahead.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So now, if you don't do what I say and keep my commandments, all these curses are going to come up on you, and they're going to overtake you. You can't run away from them. It's all that simple. Well, I'm going to go out we're going to set up us a nice suburb out here, and we're going to move out of the ghetto, because we're going to get away from this mess. But the one that doing the mess, you took him with you. He's sitting in your living room looking at your television. You can't escape the Lord's hand. He's going to take you anywhere, and people have done that. He said, so look, these curses going to come up on you. Go ahead and read.
Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field.
Go ahead.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
So he turned it just the opposite. Wherever you are, you're in the field, you're going to be cursed. You're in the city, you're going to be cursed. Your children are going to be cursed. Whatever you put your hand to, it's going to be cursed. This is God telling Israel this. Skip down to verse 25 and read it.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them.
Go ahead.
And flee 7 ways before them.
Go ahead.
And shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
He said, you're going to go out against your enemy one way, and they're going to scatter you. You're going to be smitten, and you are going to be removed, not migrate. You're going to be removed into every kingdom on earth. In other words, wherever you find yourself, somebody else brought you there. All you got to do is pay attention. Skip down to verse 28. Verse 28 and go ahead.
The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
I mean, you're going to be angry all the time, but you blind. You don't know what to do, and you're always being surprised. Something always blowing up on you. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
Do you know what it means? You're going to grope at noonday as you do at night? That means you don't know what to do. You're groping. You don't know where to go. Sisters and brothers, I have marched. I have sat in. I ain't talking about what somebody told me. November, I'll be 74. I have marched. I have sat in. I have ridden the back of the bus. I have drank from the colored fountain. And so, hallelujah, we got civil rights. They just don't put the sign on the colored fountain no more. You understand what I'm saying? But who is doing this to you? The Lord. And as you go on, we're going to show you the Lord his word is screaming, but ain't nobody listening because they got you hemmed up in a corner with the Holy Ghost instead of reading the word.
Yes.
What verse are we?
We're at verse 30.
Verse 30. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
And that happened during slavery, not only here, all over. See, this is what people don't understand. You don't understand what happened to you in America. But during Black history, we let you know in Liberia, they tried to exterminate you. In Ethiopia, they tried to exterminate you. Nobody came and raped the continent of Africa and get you off it. The Hamites sold you.
Yes.
Because wherever you were, sisters and brothers, you build houses, somebody else sleep in them. Marry a wife, somebody else laid with her. He said, well, that is slavery time. It's still going on right now. Because you don't have no God in you. You don't respect the law. You don't do nothing. And he's just telling you like it is. He said, but I'm going to bring this upon you. I'm going to do it. Skip down to verse 36. Verse 36, and go ahead.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Go ahead.
And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
And that's what you're doing right now. We're a nation. Our fathers didn't know the God of Easter. You understand? But we celebrated every year. Nobody went back and looked at the Phoenicians or the Canaanites and saw that was a celebration to sacred temple prostitutes. We didn't know about that, but we do it all the time. Little old girl put on the yellow dresses. Boy put on his little old suit with his bow tie. And in the name of the Lord, celebrate sacred temple prostitutes. Look under and see. We didn't know about nothing about the God of Christmas. Christ never had a mass. Not even once. If you go back and look under Christmas, it'll tell you it's not here. This is the winter solstice. In other words, the winter worshiping, and it has been around way before Christ. We don't know nothing about that God. But we serve him. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb,
go ahead,
and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Now look, what is astonishment? Everybody, you surprised at what's happening to you. Then people look at your condition. They're surprised how you can survive. And then you become a byword. That's all them little pet names that I ain't at liberty to call you. Which is a thing that's scorned and rejected. And you want to know why? You're finding out right now. Because your God called this on you, sisters and brothers. He called it on you. Skip down to verse 41 and go ahead.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them.
Go ahead.
For they shall go into captivity.
Now, that's what captivity is, when somebody come and they enslave you, sisters and brothers. They take yours and do whatever they want. Go ahead and read.
All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt come down very low.
So that stranger that's within you didn't name a people, sisters and brothers. When you go and look at when Israel come out of Egypt, it was a mixed multitude. I mean, every kind of person on the planet. So he said, that stranger that's among you going to come up very high, and you're going to come down very low. People that sell you cars don't look like you. People that sell you groceries don't look like you. People that clean your nails don't look like you. And when we wear more wigs, our women, than put the W in wigs and don't have one distributor. You understand what I'm saying? And don't have one hair product manufacturer. Everybody come in. You don't look down to nobody. Everybody around you, you look up to. Go ahead and read.
Verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Yes, sir, sister and brother. You are the tail of all things. But nobody put you there but the one you refuse to obey. Go ahead and read.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee.
They're going to come upon you. They're going to pursue you. Go ahead.
And overtake thee.
And they're going to overtake you. You can't run away from them. Go ahead and read.
Till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Go ahead.
To keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
All because you would not listen to the God that sprung you out of Egypt and keep his commandments, which is not hard to keep. It was very easy. Go ahead and read.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
They're going to be upon you for a sign and for a wonder. Sisters and brothers, people are always wondering what happened to them. But what is a sign? That identifies you, sisters and brothers. I tell people all the time, I say, never have we laid it to heart that we are the only people in this entire hemisphere that was brought here against our will. Because the Lord said, you're going to be removed.
Yeah.
This is a sign. You understand?
Yes.
Somebody said, if you see a round, long thing crawling and its tongue flicking out, that's a snake. Now you got a chicken come through. I'm the snake. You know better.
Right.
Dog come through. I'm the snake. You know better. Because the Lord has given you a sign of a snake. He's round and he crawls and he's tongue. So when they crawl down, he don't have to say I'm the snake. He says, oh, that's the snake.
That's the snake.
So the whole thing is, this is something that identifies you, sisters and brothers. What verse are we?
That was the end of 46.
Skip down to 6-3. Skip down to 6-3. And go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you,
go ahead.
So the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you.
Oh, no, the Lord won't do that. You mean the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you? Yes, because you didn't keep his commandment. He said if you don't do it. Go ahead and read.
And to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
No, you didn't migrate off it? You're going to be plucked off it. Somebody going to come and take you out of the land. Physically remove you. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
And he's going to scatter you among all people. No matter where you go, you're going to find some of us there. And our condition is the same. I was in Vietnam. I run into the mountain yards. They separated from the regular Vietnamese over there on the seal hide eating that smelly meat, fish. I said, boy, look at these people. I'm glad I ain't here. Wherever you are, it's going to be the same. Skip down.
That's the middle of 64.
Read 60. Go ahead and read 64. Go ahead.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
And wherever you go, you're going to serve somebody else's God, sisters and brothers. Wherever you go. Skip down to verse 6-8 and let's see what else is going to happen to you. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Now, Egypt to us is a house of bondage. You understand? The Lord already told you you're going to scatter you all over the world. Another scripture tell you ain't going to never go back in the nation of Egypt. So this is telling you he's going to bring you into the house of bondage, of slavery again, by ships. What's going to happen to you when you get there?
By the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And ain't nobody going to buy you out of it. So now, I guess that don't fit us. We wasn't sold as male and female slaves. Oh, not me. That's why I'm mad at everybody. No, you ain't mad at everybody. The one you should be mad at is these people that the Lord gave this law to that didn't keep it. Now, let's see whether we came under the blessing or whether we came under the curse. Because he put the blessing and the curses out there, didn't he? Now, let's go into Daniel, the 9th chapter. We got to see now that once we find out where we came, then we might be able to put ourselves in tune with the people that he was talking about. Daniel's the 9th chapter. Daniel's chapter 9. Daniel's chapter 9. That's why I tell people when you invite people here, always tell them to bring pen, paper, and patience. And I want them to bring the Bible because I don't want them to think that I'm teaching out of some funny book. Because you ain't never heard these things before. And so and I tell people all the time too, you come in, I'm teaching about this today. Next week I might teach it about, last week I taught about man becoming God. Week before that I taught about homosexuality. Then the next time I might talk about the resurrection. I might talk about the kingdom of Jesus and the kingdom of God. In other words, sisters and brothers, this is a big book. Don't think that when you come here, you hear all that we're about. This is not even a fraction. But now let's see if we came under this curse or not. We're going to start at verse 8. Daniel 9 and 8. Read it.
O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face. To our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee.
Oh, so we did sin, didn't we? Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11 and go ahead.
Yea, All Israel have transgressed thy law.
So everybody's guilty, right? You can't walk around and say, well, you know, y'all did. He said, all is an absolute, ain't it? Go ahead and read.
Even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us.
Oh, so the curse is poured upon us. Go ahead and read.
And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him.
Oh, so he said the curses are poured upon us. This confirmed that God knows what he can do and what he will do. Go ahead and read.
And he has confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done upon Jerusalem.
He said, look, here's confirmed his words which Moses wrote. The Lord is the one that brought this great evil on us, even an evil that nobody else in the world have undergone. You don't have to look in the world. Just look right here in America. What has been done to you hasn't been done to nobody else. You come over here in ships. You were sold as male and female slaves, just like the Lord said. And the hard times have hit you all over. So you don't have to look at the world, just look in this hemisphere. He said, this great evil. Who brought this great evil on you? Your God, sisters and brothers. And then they don't know who you are. Let's go into Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter. Deuteronomy chapter 32. See, sometimes, sisters and brothers, before you get to the positive, you got to find out about the negatives. Before you start dealing and judging by the effects, you have to go and deal with the causes. And this is what we don't like to do. We like to build a house from the top down. Nobody's have paid any attention that you can't do that. That's why you're forever blinded. You're forever groping, just like the Lord said, because you don't know what to do. I done threatened. I done shook the fence. I done said set in. I'm going to set in at Kresch's in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, where they wouldn't allow us to set at the county in my day. Police come in and whoop 2-3 heads on the end of that county. I got up, sneaked on away from it. Well, I couldn't find no valor in being whooped, so I left. But I saw it. Deuteronomy 32, and we're going to start reading at verse 8, 32 and 8. Go ahead.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam,
go ahead.
He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
Now let's let you know how much the Lord cared for these people. You understand? Because he chose this people to go out and carry his word and teach other people. Let's try to ask the person, well, you know, I'm the chosen, we the chosen. I said, chosen to do what? Well, we just chosen. That's the stupidest thing in the world. If you come and say, boy, you chosen, the first thing I'm going to ask you is to do what? And it's obvious that a lot of my brothers don't know. You know why? Because they want to throw everybody else under the bus. But the Lord chose us to bring all the rest of the sons of Adam back to us because our mother and father fell off the wagon in the Garden of Eden. And we all have same mother and same father. Why should God bless me and throw all the rest of his children away? That don't make sense, does it? So when they get to it, he said, look, I have set the boundaries of the sons of Adam according to the number of the children of Israel. What number? The 12 tribes, sisters and brothers. That's why you have 12 months in a year. That's how you have 24 hours in a day. Ain't no accident, 12 and 12. There's no accident. Jesus came and he picked 12 apostles. When New Jerusalem come down, they're going to have 12 gates. And you're going to have 12 foundations. The Lord won't let you know. So when you get to the end of 12 months, you go back into another year. But the Lord, so he set the boundaries of the sons of Adam according to the number of Israel. But go ahead and read.
For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
Go ahead.
He found him in a desert land and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye.
He did it for 40 years in the wilderness, sisters and brothers. He led him around and kept him as the apple of his eye. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15 and go ahead.
But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked.
But we wax fat and we kick. That's one of the things I see nowadays. Look like the more money or better off we get, the worse we get. Nose get so high if it rain, you'll drown. No humility left. And the more the Lord blessed Israel, the more pagan gods they would serve. They got so bad until they said, we are all lords. We don't have to go no more to the Lord. He said, you wax fat and you kick. Go ahead and read.
Thou art waxen fat. Thou art grown thick.
Go ahead.
Thou art covered with fatness.
Go ahead.
Then he forsook God which made him and highly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
So look, sisters and brothers, and lightly esteemed. What he did, when we got started doing, we forsook God. We didn't need God no more. We didn't need him no more. Go ahead and read.
They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger.
Go ahead.
They sacrificed unto devils, not to God.
Go ahead.
To gods whom they knew not. To new gods that came newly up.
Go ahead.
Whom your fathers feared not.
See, these gods that they sacrificed to was gods that you could tell what to do. You didn't have to obey them because you made them. But when you come to the God of Israel, now you got to obey him because he made you. So we didn't like this God. So we made us some brand new God. Then we look at other people around us. Their gods was made by them. Therefore, they told them what to do. So I can serve this God that I will tell what to do. Go ahead and read.
Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten God that formed thee.
Go ahead.
And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them.
Go ahead.
Because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters.
Oh, you didn't know God could hate people? What's the abhor mean? I mean, he really hate them. Because you forsook him. Go ahead and read.
And he said, I will hide my face from them.
I will hide my face from them.
I will see what their end shall be.
I will see what their end shall be. Go ahead.
For they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith.
They're a foolish generation. They don't have no faith. He says, I'm so okay then. You don't need me. I'm going to hide my face from you. I'm going to see what your end's going to be. Skip down to verse 23. Verse 23 and read it.
I will heap mischiefs upon them. I will spend mine arrows upon them.
Wait a minute. Who's doing this to you? God is doing it. So who do you blame? Nobody. You're stupid if you blame God. You just take your whooping and go on with it. Skip down to verse 26. Verse 26 and go ahead.
I said, I would scatter them into corners.
I would scatter them into corners. Go ahead and read.
I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
So who remember you? Nobody know who you are. Don't nobody remember you. They didn't know that King Solomon, the wisest man ever lived, was your king. They didn't know that Moses, the greatest prophet ever lived, was your prophet. They didn't know that Joshua, the greatest general ever lived, was your general. In fact, they don't know who you are. What are you? I don't know. Are you a Negro? Afro-American? So one of your big leaders deem you African-American. Then Skipper, you just didn't got frustrated. I'm just black. Nobody remember you. When you say, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, oh, get on out of here. You ain't no Jew. I said, you never took notice. I didn't say I'm a Jew. Because in order to be a Jew, I have to come out of the tribe of Judah. I don't know if I came out of the tribe of Judah. All I know is I come out of Israel. But the whole thing is, he said he's going to cause your memory to cease from among me. Nobody know who you are. Well, I'm African American. Africans don't want you. Don't nobody want you. You don't want you. That's why you're always trying to move to the better neighborhood. Who did this come from? That's come from your God, sisters and brothers. Let's go into Jeremiah, the 15th chapter. Jeremiah chapter 15. See, I like to make you look at reality the way it is. Yeah. Everybody want to slant the story. Don't be just like the rabbit. Talking about, rabbit jumped the lion, knock him down, kick his teeth in. Gouge his eyes. Like, wait a minute, rabbits don't do nothing to the lion. Hey, look, the rabbit is telling the story. We ain't going now. We're going to call it like it is, sisters and brothers. If you can't call it like it is, then leave it alone. I have no interest. In dealing with the Word of God except for one thing. I want to become an immortal and become God. I don't have no other interest. That's why I'm here. I'm 7 days a week. That's why I don't get no pay. I don't get no nothing but headache. I even buy my own lunch when I go to lunch every day. I don't even write me an expense account. But the whole thing is, that's why I don't care what nobody thinks. It's because I'm going to call this thing the way it is. Oh, brother, I don't like the way you teach. Then leave. I'm still going to eat. Jeremiah 15 and verse 1. Jeremiah 15 and 1. Go ahead.
Then said the Lord unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people.
Ain't that something? Moses and Samuel, these are two righteous men that God used to take care of a whole lot of his business. He says, still my mind couldn't be toward this people. Go ahead.
Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth.
So cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. Go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth?
Where shall we go? Go ahead.
Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as are for death, to death.
Such as to be killed, let them be killed. Go ahead and read.
And such as are for the sword, to the sword.
Such is going to be cut off by the sword, let it get them. Go ahead and read.
And such as are for the famine, to the famine.
Them that starve to death, so be it, because your God done got tired of you now. Go ahead and read.
And such as are for the captivity, to the captivity.
And that's us. We survived the famine. We survived the sword. We survived being killed, but we didn't survive the captivity. Well, Brother Boo, it's better for me now. You know what I mean? I make my own decision. Don't pay the tax on your house and watch them come take it from you. Go fishing without a license and watch them get you. Drive your own car without a license and see what's going to happen to you. You don't run nothing. But, it's just like you beat me with an open blackjack. You can see it, I'm being beat, so they wrap it up with a towel and beat you. You're still being beat. You just don't see it. What verse are we?
Verse 3.
Go ahead.
And I will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord.
The Lord's going to appoint over them 4 kinds. Go ahead and read.
The sword to slay, and the dogs to tear.
Go ahead.
And the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy.
That's man and 4-legged beast. He said, I'm going to appoint it over them. I am going to do it. Nobody else. Go ahead and read.
And I will cause them to be removed into all kingdoms of the earth.
I will cause them to be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. Go ahead and read.
Because of Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah, king of Judah, for that which he did in Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee?
Go ahead.
Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest?
No, nobody. Nobody care about what happened to you. When I was growing up, before the schools, before segregation. Yeah, I'm before segregation. Ain't that something? All the schools was black. If you dropped out of school or didn't go to school, you had to look for Myrtle Jones. She was a truant officer. She come get you. Who come get your child now? He drop out of school and leave the house every day. And one day you ask him, read the newspaper to me. He can't read. That's when you come to the conclusion that you have an ignorant child on your hand. Because don't nobody care. You can't watch him around because you're too busy trying to make enough money to eat this week and pay the rent next week. Nobody cares. Who is it going to turn aside and ask how you doing? Go ahead and read.
Thou hast forsaken me, saith the Lord.
Uh-huh.
Thou art gone backward.
Go ahead.
Therefore will I stretch out my hand against thee and destroy thee. I am weary with repenting.
He said, I'm tired. I said, every time I deliver you, you do something stupid. You break my law. I let somebody whip on you. Then I deliver you again. You break my law. I let somebody whip on you. Eventually, he said, I am weary with repenting. I'm tired. I'm going to push you out there, and I'm going to let these curses pursue you because you refuse to obey my law. Who was this talking? Well, this is Yahweh. It was. But let's see who Yahweh became. Let's go into Luke, the 13th chapter. Luke chapter 13. That's why I listen to people always making a point. Well, I don't like that God in the Old Testament. He's a mean and ugly God. He hurt you, but see, I like Christ. Christ loves everybody. Verse 34, 13 and verse 34. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killeth the prophets.
Oh, who kills the prophets? Gentiles don't kill the prophets. Hamites didn't kill the prophets. Don't you know that Pilate did everything he could to let Jesus off the hook? We wouldn't let him. We said, we even appealed to Caesar. Pilate said, well, okay, then I got to kill this cat. He didn't want him off. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killeth the prophets. Go ahead and read.
And stonest them that are sent unto thee.
Go ahead.
How often would I have gathered thy children together, as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not.
Look, this is Jesus talking. The man died at 33 when he was 33 and a half years old. How often did he have to gather Israel together like a mother hen gather her chicks? At 33? He wasn't talking about after he came in the flesh. He was the one that was in the wilderness with you. He was the one that gave the law to Moses. He was the one, sister and brother. In fact, St. John 5 and 37 will tell you that ain't nobody ever heard the voice of the Father at any time or seen his shape. Jesus said, I would have gathered you a whole lot of time, but you refused to be gathered. Read the next verse.
Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. And verily I say unto you, ye shall not see me until the time come when ye shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Well,
we still looking for that, sisters and brothers. He said, but your house is left to you desolate. In other words, you got expelled from it. The Syrians took away 9 tribes. Babylonians came and took away the 3, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Then you served under the Babylonian Empire. You served under the Medo-Persian Empire. You served under the Greek Empire. And you served under the Roman Empire. And finally, the Lord completed the scattering. And let's show you how it took place. Let's go into the 19th chapter of Luke. 19th chapter of Luke. That's what I tell people all the time. You don't have to wonder about what the Lord is doing. It's all recorded. I mean, it's all recorded. You'd be surprised at what the Lord calls if you only knew what the Lord said he was going to do. Now, this is Jesus here. When he was coming up on Jerusalem, he knew what's going to happen. Like we know what's going to happen. Not only America, we know what's going to happen in the world. We know. You hang around here long enough, you will know. Because God wants all of the sons of Adam to know this. Because the day going to come when you're going to have to deliver yourself with your own knowledge. Can't nobody save you. Man can't swim, fall in the water, and you can't swim. What you going to do? You going to jump in there and save him? Both of you going to drown. You're on your own. Let's start at verse 41. That's when Jesus was walking up on Jerusalem. Verse 41. Go ahead.
And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, If thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day,
go ahead,
the things which belong unto thy peace. But now they are hid from thine eyes.
He wept. He cried when he was looking at Jerusalem and knew what was going to happen to him. He said, if only you had known, even this day, what belonged to you, you still could have maybe repented and it wouldn't have happened. He said, but now it's hid from you. Go ahead and read.
For the days shall come upon thee, that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee.
Now, the day going to come upon you when your enemies shall try to cast a trench about you. Go ahead and read.
And compass thee round.
And they're going to surround you. Go ahead and read.
And keep thee in on every side.
And they're going to keep you in. Go ahead and read.
And shall lay thee even with the ground. And thy children within thee. And they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another. Because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation.
Now we're going to look at this that took place in history. We're going to look at it. Let's go to Atlas of the Bible, page 201 and 202. Because Jesus said, look, the day going to come when your enemy going to come up on you and they're going to cast a trench around you. They're going to keep you in on every side and they are going to lay you even with the ground, you and your children. You know when it happened? 70 A.D. Let's read some history here. This is from the, what's the name of the history book?
Atlas of the
Bible.
Page 201, Revolts Against Rome. In 68, the Roman commander launched a methodical campaign to isolate Jerusalem. The district of Perea, east of Jordan, was conquered.
Go ahead.
In the west, Emmaus was taken and a legion garrisoned there. Entering the Jordan Valley from the north through Perea, Roman columns took Jericho, where a second garrison was stationed. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, various Jewish factions began fighting among themselves for control of the rebellion.
Let's read what's outlined in the red line. Go ahead and read.
The overthrow and suicide of the Emperor Nero brought operations in Judea to a temporary halt as Vespasian prudently withdrew to test the imperial winds.
Everybody knows Nero, he was the one that fiddled while Rome burned. So when he died, Vespasian, if you know anything in history, you know he was a Roman general. He went to see if he can become emperor. What happened? Go ahead.
Eventually, he himself was declared emperor. Sailing for Rome in the spring of 70, he left his capable son, Titus, in charge of the campaign against Jerusalem.
So he turned over to the destruction of Jerusalem to Titus. Go ahead and read.
The walls enclosing the temple and the upper and lower cities were the most formidable barrier of all. Postponing an all-out assault, Titus turned to starvation tactics.
Now, see, when they had come to Jerusalem and started closing in, they went in on the temple site. Because you know you had walls around the temple site. So Vespasian was smart. He said, I'll lose a whole lot of soldiers trying to take these people down. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to starve them out. What did he do? Go ahead and read.
A certain amount of food had been smuggled into the city almost nightly during the siege. But now the Romans sealed off Jerusalem completely with a wall of their own made of earth and some 5 miles in circumference.
So they did what Jesus said. They made a wall of their own. You know, had to made out of dirt, some 5 miles in circumference. In other words, they surrounded Jerusalem. Like Jesus said, they're going to track a trench around you. Go ahead and read.
From the outset of the siege, those attempting to get through the encircling lines had been caught and crucified.
Ain't that something? And you think that Jesus and the 2 thieves was the only one that was crucified. Let's see how many. Go ahead and read.
Sometimes the daily executions reached 500.
They was crucifying sometime up to 500 people a day. This is recorded history. Didn't no Holy Ghost speak in my head. I read it in the book and went in history and found it. Up to 500 people a day was crucified, and you got the cross around your neck calling it the symbol of Christ and the Holy. It is a Roman death symbol. They've been killing people on the cross before Jesus and way after Jesus. If you're going to wear a cross, I got electric care. I'm going to put a chain on the leg, put that around your neck, and a hypodermic needle, or a gas chamber. Nobody talks about the 500 a day. And the siege went on a long time. Go ahead and read.
The crosses were never bare. Inside the city, starvation and disease claimed a mounting toll.
Go ahead.
Bodies filled the streets and were stacked in houses. Thousands of corpses were thrown from the walls into the valley below.
That's when Jesus said he's going to cast a trench around you, your enemies, and keep you in on every side. They couldn't get out. So they killed everybody that tried to get out. Everybody that tried to sneak food in, they killed them. They hung them on crosses. Go ahead.
The surviving rebels made a last-ditch stand within Herod's palace. The battering rams resumed their rhythmic work.
Go ahead.
When the legionnaires at last broke into this refuge, they found only corpses. Herod's palace and the rest of the upper city were put to the torch. Jerusalem was a city of the dead.
That happened in 7 A.D. Get any book and look under Titus. You get the same story, any history book. But then Jesus told them that this was going to happen to them. And he even gave them a sign. You understand? When you see this, you know it's going to happen, so get out. But we don't care nothing about signs. Let's go into Luke, the 21st chapter. Luke chapter 21. And we're going to start reading at verse 20. See, we don't pay no attention to nothing, sisters and brothers. It's just like right now, everybody tells me, Brother Boy, when you think it's going to be over with? I said, when the people in Jerusalem build a temple, and Papa in Rome move into it, run. Where to? That's your assignment. Find out. Oh, there's a place. It's called a place of safety, sisters and brothers. That if you get there, can't nobody lay a finger on you.
Yeah.
But you are not going to be taken off this earth. Because that's one of the biggest mysteries I have had since I've been in the Word of God. I've been told all my life that I'm going to heaven. And I tried to find it one time. I can't find it one time in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation where God said he's going to take man to heaven. But all over the Bible, he said, I'm coming here. Then I come to the conclusion that man, by the urging of Satan, is telling God, you better take what you want up there because I got this down here. But God said, no, I got it all. I will visit you. In fact, I'm going to move in with you. But the whole thing is, Jesus warned them, sisters and brothers. Verse 20, go ahead. 21 and 20, go ahead.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
That army's talking about the Roman army. See, the Romans had a unique way of spanning. See, it started in the at the peninsula. The name peninsula is Italy. The Italians started it, and as they conquered, they added their armies to their ranks. That's how they become a worldwide power. You know, we didn't kill all the soldiers. You want to work for me or die? I work for you. Okay, then. That's why Cornelius was a captain in the Italian band, because there's a whole lot of other bands. So Jesus said, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, go ahead and read.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Know that it's about to be destroyed, so let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Go ahead and read.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
Go ahead.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Now, we know why he's saying this now, because we read what happened to him in the history books, didn't we? If you're in there, you better get out. If you're out, don't come in, because Titus is going to cast a trench around you, and he's going to kill everything that he can. And we're going to find out what he's going to do with the ones that he didn't kill. Go ahead and read.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
The Lord told you that in the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy. These be the days that all that's written going to be fulfilled. Go ahead and read.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Go ahead.
For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
Great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. Go ahead and read.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations.
They're going to fall by the edge of the sword, Jerusalem is, and they're going to be led captive into all of the nations. How long are they going to be there? Go ahead and read.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
And Jerusalem is going to be trodden down by the Gentiles. And at the time of the Gentiles' rulership, days the rule is fulfilled. This is what people don't understand. God gave Noah's, each one of Noah's sons, a time to run this earth. Ham dropped it. They talk about Nimrod the Great. He dropped it. Hamite dropped it. Then they come with Israel, with Solomon, David. They dropped it. Now it's in the hand of the Gentiles. So he gave it to Ham's seed, didn't do nothing with it. Gave it to Shem's seed, which is Israel, didn't do nothing with it. Now he gave it to Japhet's seed, which are the Gentiles. Who are the Gentiles, Brother Boyd? Europeans are what we just plain call white people. It's their time now. And this thing is going to be ran by them until Jesus comes. Well, Brother Boyd, you know, what about Mother Africa? Gentiles run it too. I got some of my Hebrew brothers. Well, I'd be glad when Russia come down on America. You think Russia going to treat you any better than you treated here? They Gentiles too. And you can't take it from them. You know why? Because God gave it to them. He gave each one of Noah's sons a time to fix this thing. Everybody dropping the ball. Gentiles dropping it too. Mm-hmm. And once he done that, he said until the time is over with. And then he jumped 2,000 years in the future. Go ahead and read.
And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars.
Go ahead.
And upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring.
Now we're going to show you that these signs are talking about when the sun turned black, the moon turned red, and the stars fall. And that's going to be a whole lot of carnage and destruction on this earth. Because that's when Jesus is getting ready to come. Go ahead and read.
Men's hearts failing them for fear.
This is what people don't understand. You got some times coming on this earth that's going to be so bad until there is not a time that has been worse and shall never be again. It's called the Great Tribulation. Men's heart going to be failing for fear. Go ahead and read.
And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken.
Go ahead.
And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these...
Now pay attention now. This is the sign. When you see the sun go black, the moon red, the stars fall, then here comes Jesus coming with power and great glory. Now listen what the message he gave to Israel now. Read it.
And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh.
Now if Israel was already in the land, the Jews was already at home, then who is he talking about? Lift up to your redemption is near. He's still here. That's why I tell people, when it's the Jews at home, I say, okay, I think I'm going to go over there and see if I can talk to Jesus. If he ain't there, Israel is still sitting in front of me. But he said they're going to surround Israel, didn't they? And they're going to fall by the edge of the sword, and they're going to be led captive into all nations. It started with the African continent, sisters and brothers, and also you had some Israelites among the Europeans. But this is going to tell you, we're going to read some history now, and it's going to tell you where you were scattered. See, Titus didn't kill everybody. Some lived. And let's see what he did with them. This is a history book called The Last 2 Million Years. Go ahead and read it.
Faith survives the dispersion. The crucifixion of Jesus about AD 30 did not end Jewish resistance to the Roman occupation. In 70, when the country was again in a state of revolt, Jerusalem, the holy city, became the core of the resistance to the Romans.
Go ahead.
Titus, the son of Emperor Vespasian, proceeded to lay siege to Jerusalem.
That's the guy that was crucified up to 500 a day, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
The city fell, and the inhabitants were enslaved in their thousands and dispersed throughout the Mediterranean world.
Now, and the inhabitants, the ones that he didn't kill, was enslaved by the thousand, and they were scattered throughout the Mediterranean world. Sisters and brothers, we have Europe north of the Mediterranean, and we have Africa south of the Mediterranean. But we're dealing with the one that's come out of the tribe of Judah. And most of us come from Mali, in which is the nation called, the city called Timbuktu. Right here. You see this sign here? I wanted to paint it up. Now, this is Timbuktu here. And the Arabs had ran it for a while. What the Arabs did, they forced a whole lot of Israelites to become Muslims. But finally, the French got tired because remember now, this is the times of the Gentiles. They made an assault on the Arabs. They didn't even put up a fight. They ran. And when they ran, they tried to burn. Let's see if we can show this picture a little closer. They burned up the libraries in Timbuktu, and you got these Jews here. Look like you and me, don't it? Mm-hmm. Trying to salvage some of their history that they had built in Timbuktu during the captivity. See, in Timbuktu, they had all kind of stuff. Like you're looking at this here. It's like I'm going to read this up here. The city never became a significant Jewish outpost, but it was home to Jews who sought a temporary base for their trade business. Look at encyclopedias, it called them Jews here. Now show me an encyclopedia now. Talking about the same thing, the people in Timbuktu. It became a flourishing trade center for Negro tribe. Wait a minute. What are you, Jew or Negro? One and the same, sisters and brothers. One and the same. I got a little history I want to, something that come out of, what's the name of this this biblical dictionary? What's the name?
From the New Compact Bible Dictionary.
I want you to see something from the New Compact Bible Dictionary. Show that to me. Because I want y'all to look at this, sisters and brothers. It said here, history book, Zondavian's Compact Bible Dictionary. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negro, but the Egyptian, Ethiopian, Libyans, and Canaanites. So where did you come from? You didn't come out of Ham. I didn't write this. I'm a researcher.
Right.
So, sisters and brothers, so when we got shipped over to both of the sides of the Mediterranean, we got treated the same because didn't nobody want you. And eventually, you got sacked and you got sold by the Hamites that look like you to the Gentiles, and they brought you here. And the ones that the Gentiles did bring here, you still under captivity. I tell you something, I thank God that he brought me here. Because them Hamites some bad actors. Cutting babies out of women, cutting off children's feet and hands. I'm talking about they bad, sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s, they tried to exterminate the tribe of Game. That was in Nigeria. They call them the Igbos. Tried to kill them all. At least the Gentile didn't kill but a few of us. But the whole thing, sisters and brothers, I just want you to see, but who did this to you? Now let's go back to Psalm, the 44th chapter. Psalm chapter 44. See, because I always said that this destruction of this people was too perfect to come from me. It had to come from God. Because no matter where you are, you were discovered and oppressed. And people that tried to help you, something happened to them. Look at John Brown, the Gentile preacher. He knew who he was when we come over here in slavery. He tried to save us. They killed him and his whole family. Because how you going to divert something that God said going to happen to you? He's a good Gentile. Apparently was a good preacher because he recognized us. But he had bad perception when he said, okay, then God going to kill him. I'm going to leave it to God. He should have walked away from it. But they killed him, his sons, his whole household, sister and brother. Go read it and find out about it. People done lied so much on the Bible that don't nobody believe it no more. Right. But who did this? Psalm chapter 44. We're going to start reading at verse 1. Psalm chapter 44 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
We have heard with our ears, O God. Our fathers have told us.
Go ahead.
What work thou didst in their days.
So our fathers told us how good you was. Go ahead and read.
In the times of old. How thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand. And plantest them. How thou didst afflict the people and cast them out.
So our fathers told you how you drove the Canaanites out and how you planted us. Skip down to verse 7. Go ahead.
But thou hast saved us from our enemies and hast put them to shame that hated us.
And you saved us from Egypt and all them that hated us. But we turned. So look what he did to us. Verse 9. Go ahead.
But thou hast cast us off and put us to shame and goest not forth with our armies.
Go ahead.
Thou makest us to turn back from the enemy. And they which hate us spoil for themselves.
And they which hate us spoil us for themselves. They take everything we have. Go ahead and read.
Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat. And hast scattered us among the heathen.
And look, this is the Lord said. This is what David is saying. Look, you have given us like sheep appointed for meat, and you have scattered us among the nations. That's what heathens mean, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
Thou sellest thy people for naught.
You sell us, you ain't getting no money, but still we were sold by you. God is the one that sold us, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And does not increase thy wealth by their price. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors.
Go ahead.
A scorn and a derision to them that are round about us.
So we're reproached to our neighbor. We're scorn and a derision. People don't want to be around you. Go ahead and read.
Thou makest us a byword among the heathen. A shaking of the head among the people.
Look, they call us pet names, and when we come around, they just look at us and shake the head. Yeah. God did that to us, sisters and brothers. And look what else he called us, and this might be familiar territory. Let's go into Zechariah, the 11th chapter. Zechariah chapter 11. Because this is what happened, and nobody pays any attention. Now everybody running around trying to be mad. He even told you that's going to happen to you. Didn't he say you're going to be mad?
All the day.
You can't do nothing about it. That's why I tell brothers that's married, and they're fighting against their wife. Both of them fight wife, and they can't get along. Both of them supposed to be serving of God. As I said, the law said you got to keep her. So if you got to keep her, and you got to keep him, you may as well start enjoying one another, because you can't go nowhere. That's when you face reality. That's reality. That's if you're serving of God. You can't do what the world do, sisters and brothers. Zechariah 11, and start reading at verse 4. Zechariah 11 and verse 4. Okay, go ahead. Verse 1, I'm sorry. 11 and 1, go ahead.
Open thy doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour thy cedars.
Go ahead.
Howl, fir tree, for the cedar is fallen.
Go ahead.
Because the mighty are spoiled. Howl, O ye oaks of Bashan, for the forest of the vintage is come down.
That's when Titus took Jerusalem down, sisters and brothers. We are the trees. We are the forest. He cut us down like trees. Go ahead and read.
There's a voice of the howling of the shepherd. For their glory is spoiled.
Go ahead.
A voice of the roaring of young lions. For the pride of Jordan is spoiled.
That's what we used to be. Go ahead and read.
Thus said the Lord my God.
Go ahead.
Feed the flock of the slaughter.
That's what you are now. The flock of the slaughter. Don't nobody care. They kill you at will. Don't nobody care. Go ahead and read.
Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
The possessors kill our ancestors and they kill us and don't feel guilty. That's why they finally come up trying to do something about what the police that are supposed to preserve and protect us, killing young Israelites like in the streets. Don't nobody care. Nobody care. I had a prosecuting attorney that lost her job because somebody bother to take a picture. And it was so clear until we got to do something. But what about the ones that didn't take a picture of? But who said this was going to happen to? He called you the flock of the slaughter, whose enemies possess you, that slew you and didn't feel guilty. Go ahead and read.
And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord.
There's a whole lot of people got rich from selling us. And when they start, and they was all good Christian people, go to church every Sunday. Thank God I had me a good slave sale, is here. Then when the nation got a heart and decided to pay some reparation, they still left us out. Why didn't they do it? Because your God called this. Go ahead and read.
For I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
So the ones that tell you, say you're rich, and your own shepherds, your own preachers don't pity you. Look at all these Sunday churches. Great big churches. There, this is a big church here too. But I don't have a summer house. All my children don't have new cars. You understand? I'm living off the pension that I have acquired from working all of my life. Because I want to be God. I ain't concerned about nothing else. They won't even tell you that the Lord's Sabbath day is this day, Saturday. They won't even tell you who you are. They won't even tell you that it is written in the book that you are the only family that God has known. Therefore, he is going to punish you for all of your transgression. We can't get away with nothing. If somebody would inform us, maybe we'll stop trying to get away with something.